Have you ever stood in a Parisian bakery, watched a French woman walk out with a baguette tucked under her arm, and thought, how does she do it? How does an entire nation eat croissants for breakfast, creamy brie at lunch, and a full 3-course dinner with wine, and still somehow maintain some of the lowest obesity rates in the developed world? This is not a myth. This is not a stereotype. This is a documented phenomenon that has puzzled health researchers, nutritionists, and diet culture enthusiasts for decades. And today, we are going to completely unpack it. Because here is what most people get wrong about this conversation. They think the secret is in the food. They look at what French people eat and try to copy the ingredients. They buy the fancy cheese. They pick up a sourdough loaf. They pour themselves a glass of red wine and call it a Mediterranean diet. And then nothing changes. Because the food was never the actual secret. The real answer lives somewhere much deeper, in behavior, in psychology, in culture, and in a relationship with eating that most of us in the modern world have completely forgotten how to have. Let us start with something foundational. The French eat real food. Not diet food, not low-fat substitutes, not artificially sweetened versions of things that should just be enjoyed in their natural form. When a French person sits down to eat bread, it is actual bread made from flour, water, yeast, and salt. When they eat cheese, it is full-fat, aged, complex cheese. There are no apologies and no guilt. And this matters more than you think, because guilt and food anxiety are two of the biggest drivers of overeating in modern Western culture. When you tell yourself a food is forbidden and then you eat it anyway, your brain shifts into a binge pattern. You eat fast, you eat more, and you feel terrible afterward. French culture largely removes that guilt loop from the equation entirely. Now let us talk about portion size, because this is where things get genuinely fascinating. French portions are not enormous. A French meal is structured, intentional, and appropriately sized. But here is the key thing. No one is counting calories. No one is measuring grams of protein or tracking macros on an app. Instead, there is a deeply ingrained cultural attunement to the body's own hunger and fullness signals. Research has actually shown that French people are significantly more likely to stop eating when they feel satisfied, rather than when their plate is empty or when everyone else at the table has finished. They eat to the signal of their body, not to the signal of external cues. This is called intuitive eating in modern nutrition science, but the French did not need a book to teach them this. It was simply passed down through generations as the normal way to eat. Mealtimes in France are structured events. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner happen at relatively consistent times each day. And snacking between meals is genuinely uncommon, especially for adults. This is not because French people have superhuman willpower. It is because when you eat satisfying, whole, flavorful food at regular intervals, your body learns to trust the schedule. Hunger becomes predictable. Cravings become manageable. You are not white-knuckling your way through the afternoon because you had a sad desk salad at noon. You are actually full from a real lunch that included flavor, fat, fiber, and pleasure. Speaking of pleasure, this might be the most underrated factor in the entire conversation. French food culture is built around enjoyment. Meals are slow, they are social, they are sensory experiences. When you eat slowly, something remarkable happens in your brain. The satiety hormones your gut releases take about 20 minutes to reach your brain and register fullness. If you eat fast, which most of us do, you blow past that signal entirely. You have already consumed far more than you needed before your body even had a chance to tell you to stop. The French habit of lingering over a meal is not just romantic and charming. It is biologically effective at preventing overconsumption. There is also something worth discussing around the quality versus quantity dynamic. French food culture emphasizes quality with great seriousness. A smaller piece of genuinely excellent aged Comté cheese is more satisfying than a large portion of processed cheese product. A single square of high-quality dark chocolate after dinner actually hits differently than a handful of cheap milk chocolate consumed absent-mindedly. When food is genuinely good, you need less of it to feel satisfied. Your brain registers the experience as complete. Quality creates satisfaction in a way that volume simply cannot. Now here is a layer that does not get talked about enough. The French food system is structurally different from what you find in countries with higher obesity rates. Walk into a typical French supermarket and compare it to what you see in the average American grocery store. The proportion of ultra-processed foods is dramatically lower. Products loaded with high fructose corn syrup, industrial seed oils, artificial flavors, and appetite-stimulating additives are simply less dominant in the French food landscape. This matters enormously because research increasingly shows that ultra-processed food disrupts the very hunger-signaling mechanisms that French culture relies on. These foods are engineered to override your fullness signals and keep you eating past the point of satisfaction. When your baseline food environment contains fewer of these products, your biology operates more the way it was actually designed to. Walking also deserves a mention here. French cities, and Paris in particular, are built for pedestrians. The daily activity embedded into ordinary life, walking to the market, climbing stairs, strolling after dinner, contributes to overall energy balance without anyone thinking of it as exercise. This is sometimes called non-exercise activity thermogenesis by scientists, and its cumulative effect over years and decades is substantial. It is not about going to the gym 4 times a week. It is about a body that moves naturally as part of daily existence. Let us also address the French attitude toward dieting, because it is almost the complete opposite of diet culture, as most of us know it. Chronic dieting, food restriction, and the obsessive tracking of what you eat are not celebrated in French culture. There is no equivalent cultural obsession with cleanses, detoxes, or elimination protocols. Food is not medicine in the anxiety-driven sense. Food is pleasure, sustenance, and social connection. This psychological freedom from dietary restriction paradoxically results in less overeating, not more. It turns out that when you stop treating food like the enemy, you stop going to war with it. So what can you actually take from all of this? Because the goal here is not to make you feel bad about your food habits, or to romanticize an entire country's culture as some kind of perfect solution. Every food culture has its complexities. But there are genuinely transferable principles here that require no French citizenship to adopt. Slow down when you eat. Put the phone away. Sit at a table. Chew properly and give your body time to catch up to what your mouth is doing. Choose quality over quantity wherever you can. Buy the better cheese and eat less of it. Remove the guilt from foods you genuinely enjoy, because guilt is not a weight loss strategy. It is a binge trigger. Eat at regular times and let your body build a rhythm it can trust. And reduce your exposure to ultra-processed foods, not because they are morally wrong, but because they are biologically disruptive to your natural hunger cues. The French paradox is really not a paradox at all once you understand it properly. It is the result of a culture that never disconnected eating from pleasure, never outsourced hunger management to calorie-counting apps, and never made food the enemy. They stayed slim, eating bread and cheese, because they stayed connected to the actual experience of eating it. And that connection, more than any specific ingredient or meal plan, is the thing worth borrowing.